to many of you. I first heard about Stephen in 1985 when I was studying at Cambridge. And his name was brought up by some British linguists who weren't too fond of some of his ideas. You know, when you're learning English in England, there is a definite prejudice out towards what's going on in North America, Australia, because English, you know, is properly spoken in England. Stephen's input ideas have influenced all of us in our teaching, and it's a great honor to have him here. I heard him talk at Albuquerque about a month ago. So without further ado, Stephen Krashen.
Well, this is interesting. It says turn off when you go to the bathroom. Good idea. Does everyone have a handout? No, you didn't bring your... Okay, always blame the audience. Could you be the handout? Okay, Chris, thank you.
Hands out, please.
Okay. I couldn't decide what to talk about. I had 6 topics on my mind, so I decided to do them all. I'm going to do 6 short talks and spend about 7-8 minutes on each one, and I'll tell you when each one is over so you can burst out in wild applause. And this is just a way of milking more applause from the audience. The first 3 talks have to do with NCLB, which some people call No Corporation Left Behind. I can't be fired. I don't care. I don't even have a job. I'm voluntarily unemployed. And when I had a job, I had tenure, which means not having to say you're sorry. I love it. So I'm going to talk about No Child Left Behind and the National Reading Panel, which is what the reading portion is based on. Then we're going to talk about my favorite topic, which is libraries, and then something about bilingual ed and a little bit about second language acquisition. How about that? Okay, talk number 1. I'd like to talk about phonemic awareness. Have you heard of phonemic awareness? Raise your hand. How many of you would have raised your hand 10 years ago? No, phonemic awareness is new, and the idea is we didn't know about it 10 years ago, but if kids don't get it, they'll never learn to read. Something's wrong here. How did they learn to read 10 years ago? This is very interesting. Phonemic awareness is the ability to take a word and break it into its sounds. It's an oral ability, and I'd like to give you some phonemic awareness activities. Actually, there are 2 kinds of phonemic awareness activities. One kind is to divide words up at segmentation. The other is to put sounds together into words, which is called blending. So phonemic awareness is considered this pre-phonics activity kids need to do, and it's become a major industry. Okay, I'm going to give you a word, and we're going to do a segmentation activity. Strip away the initial consonant and tell me and say what's left over. Are you ready? Okay, big team, here's the first one. The word is pit. What's left over? Okay, very good. Number 2, split. How did you ever learn to read? I got that wrong first time, too. It's split. You take off the S, and plit is left over. Now, let me tell you how you did that, and tell me if I'm right. What you did is you saw the word in your mind's eye. You spelled it. You looked at what you spelled, and you took away the S, and you pronounced what's left over. I could stop right here because I've just made my point. What I've just shown is the ability to do phonemic awareness activities beyond the most basic ones is the result of knowing how to read, not the cause. We have made a phenomenal cause-effect error in all this. I'm going to claim that phonemic awareness is not the precursor of reading. I'm going to claim it's very difficult not to develop phonemic awareness. It's the result of knowing how to read, and that the entire phonemic awareness rage is entirely misguided. How do you like that? All right, let me show you some of the data. The National Reading Panel, let me tell you what the National Reading Panel is. This is the basis of No Child Left Behind. It met in the about 3-4 years ago. A group of scholars got together, appointed by the government, at that time the Clinton administration, so this is cross parties. It consisted of a handful of experimental psychologists or behavioral psychologists, 1 physician, 1 chief executive officer of a corporation, and a physicist. There was 1 teacher on the committee, Joan Yatvin, teacher principal. She filed a minority report, and has been pretty well ostracized by the group. I recommend find her article in the Phi Delta Kaplan about a year ago, Joan Yatfin, and you'll see what really went on in these meetings. Their claim was phonemic awareness training significantly improves children's reading and spelling abilities. I love that word training. Training is different from education. Here's how it was explained to me. Actually, this is Jim Elatis' definition. He told me that. He says, if your daughter comes home from college and she's had sex education, that's okay. But if she had sex training, you wonder what happened. So they're very different images here. Okay, during phonemic awareness training, children do these activities, and a standard research study has been to take one group of kids, give them phonemic awareness training, and these are kindergarten, first graders, and give the other kids usually nothing or activities that have nothing to do with language. And you know what happens? You train them, and they get better on tests of phonemic awareness. Get it? I took a look at the professional literature to see if they get better in reading. The National Reading Panel did that too. We came to actually very similar conclusions. I was so proud of my work here that I've given you the entire table on page 1 of the handout. Here is the shocking news. This is bigger than Watergate, folks. Number 1, that's all the studies there are. That's pretty shocking. That's it. Of the studies, this is 6 studies and a total of 13 comparisons. 3 were done in English. 1 was done in Spanish, 1 was done in Norwegian, 1 was done in Hebrew. This is getting worse and worse. Look at the sample size. By the way, that 51 on the bottom, the Kosminski study, that should be 15. That was my fault there. So this is based on a handful of kids. Overall, a mild positive effect for phonemic awareness training, but very small. But 3 of the studies show no difference at all. And the only study that comes out consistent all the time, where both conditions worked out, the effect size is reasonable, it's significant, is Kosminski and Kosminski, which was done with 15 kids in Israel learning to read Hebrew. In other words, the entire phonemic awareness movement is based, and I will exaggerate, make things up, on 15 kids one Tuesday afternoon in a suburb of Haifa, taking one test. That's it, folks. Well, I published this, of course, because I don't care. And it's very hard to penetrate the reading journals, but I managed to do it by sliding in sideways. Here's the story. I'll give you all the gossip. I've been dealing extensively in gossip the last few years. My motto has been, if you don't have anything good to say about someone, sit next to me. You know, Alice Roosevelt, I love it. Anyway, so it turned out that Yetta Goodman, a colleague of mine in Arizona, posted a short summary of what my conclusions were on a listserv with my permission. I wasn't on this listserv, but she posted it. And the National Reading Panel found out. And they wrote this. Not only did they get to publicize this and send out to the whole country, they rewrote it for various journals, and the journals eagerly published it. And they quoted me, but slightly misquoted me. Not bad, but a little bit. But I seized on the opportunity, and I wrote a letter to the Reading Research Quarterly. I said I was misquoted. I'd like to answer back. They said, fine, we'll give you so much space, and then the National Reading Panel gets to answer. Okay. So I did that, and I basically restated my position. If you read what I said and you read what they said, you will see that I won, but I don't know if anybody noticed it but me. The National Reading Panel's reaction was, that's it, that is all the studies, there are no more. Number 2, if we had more studies, maybe the results would be different. That's in the general category of daher. All right? So I still think there is very little evidence for this directly. Not only that, we also have independent studies that show kids with very low phonemic awareness sometimes learn to read very well. And even after they learn to read, their phonemic awareness is off. So it's not even always a result of reading. And there are very interesting cases in the professional journals. My stuff comes from the professional journals. I'm not giving you data from the American Communist Party. Okay? Number 2, adult illiterates have very low phonemic awareness. Once they learn to read, their phonemic awareness jumps. How about that? Number 3, these studies also have comparison groups. Guess what? Comparison groups get no training at all. They do a little reading on their own, but there's no program. They get better too. How did that happen?